I sat at my apartment window, the sunlight bouncing off the glass of my modestly decorated New York loft. My laptop hummed faintly, a reminder of the work I'd been juggling, and my phone buzzed relentlessly across the marble countertop. I glanced at it, half expecting another spam notification, and froze when I saw the name, Dad. I hadn't spoken to him in over 3 years. Not since that day when he'd looked at me with his cold, unyielding expression and said, "Sophie, 80% of your salary will go to your brother and 20% for me. It's that simple." I'd laughed, swallowed the bitter lump in my throat, and walked away. I'd never thought I'd see him again until now. The silk of my blouse brushed my skin as I stood and drew the curtains, my reflection in the glass showing a woman poised, confident, successful. Nobody knew the lengths I had gone to rebuild my life in secret. Nobody, except maybe my mentor, Claire, who had believed in me when my family had written me off. The doorbell rang, sharp, unexpected. My pulse jumped, not from fear, but from a quiet, simmering anticipation. I let the moment stretch, breathing in the rich aroma of coffee, the faint scent of vanilla from my candle. This was my life now, a world my father hadn't imagined for me, and soon he would. I smoothed my hair, adjusted my blazer, and opened the door. I remember that day like it was etched into my skin. I was 22, fresh out of college, full of hope and ambition, and standing in the living room of the house I'd grown up in. My father, tall and imposing, sat in his leather chair, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. My younger brother, Tyler, lounged on the couch, scrolling through his phone, completely oblivious to the storm about to hit. "Your brother needs to be taken care of," my father began, his voice calm but final. "So, 80% of your salary will go to him, 20% for me. That's the arrangement." The words landed like a fist in my chest. My mouth went dry. I tried to speak, to argue, to plead, but the lump in my throat made it impossible. My hands shook, gripping the edges of the dining table as if it could anchor me to reality. "But I just got my first job, Dad. I worked so hard." "Don't argue, Sophie. You always think you can do things your way." "This is how it is," he interrupted, his gaze sharp, unyielding. I felt invisible, dismissed, like my years of effort didn't matter. Tyler glanced up briefly, a smirk tugging at his lips, as if my pain were some kind of joke. I wanted to scream, to run, to make him see that I wasn't some ATM for the family. But I couldn't. It was my grandmother, Nana June, who had come into the room quietly, placing her hand over mine. "Don't let this define you, Sophie," she whispered. "You have fire in you. Money isn't worth your soul. Remember, the world will recognize your worth if you dare to walk away and make it on your own." Her words were a lifeline. I left that house that day with a mix of fear and determination. I didn't know exactly how I would survive, but I knew I wouldn't let them dictate my life. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation and the sting of betrayal, and decided I would leave. I would carve out a life that was mine alone, one built on my own terms, my own sweat, and my own resilience. That single choice, the refusal to submit, was the first step toward freedom, toward becoming a woman my father couldn't control, no matter how hard he tried. I didn't have much when I left my family's house, just a small suitcase, my laptop, and Nana June's words echoing in my mind. But I had something far more valuable: determination. I moved into a tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn, the rent almost swallowing my first paycheck, and took a job at a small marketing firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and I refused to let anyone define my worth again. Long nights became routine. I'd pore over strategy books, practice pitching ideas in front of my bedroom mirror, and reach out to anyone who would respond. I faced rejection constantly, potential clients laughing off my proposals, senior colleagues dismissing me for being young and inexperienced. Some nights, I cried quietly in my kitchen, wondering if I was chasing an impossible dream. But every morning, I remembered Nana June's voice. "The world will recognize your worth if you dare to walk away and make it on your own." Then, Claire Hayes entered my life. A seasoned creative director at a prominent agency. She noticed my tenacity during a freelance project. One afternoon, she called me into her office, her presence commanding yet warm. "Sophie," she said, looking me in the eye, "you're wasting your talent if you keep hiding. I want to mentor you, help you turn this hustle into something that lasts." Under her guidance, I learned not only strategy but how to navigate office politics, how to negotiate, how to sell myself without feeling like a fraud. My first big client came unexpectedly, a boutique fashion brand that trusted my ideas. When their campaign exceeded expectations, I felt a small spark of pride ignite into something much larger. The first profitable project, the first check that didn't feel like crumbs, it was exhilarating. I kept all of it a secret from my family. On social media, I posted harmless, curated snapshots of my life. Coffee in a new cafe, a photo of my desk with neatly stacked notebooks, nothing that screamed success. If they asked, I gave vague answers. "Oh, things are fine, just working hard." I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their acknowledgement. And yet, with every client, every successful pitch, every milestone, I felt stronger. I was building more than wealth. I was building proof that I could survive and thrive without their support. Their rules, their unfair expectations, their outdated idea that my salary existed to serve them, meant nothing in this new reality I was creating. By the time I finally began to feel fully in control of my career, I had amassed not just financial independence, but a life they would never have imagined. My own office, my own brand, a team that respected me. I had become invisible and untouchable in their eyes, yet fully realized in my own. The knock at my office door echoed in the sleek, sunlit space I had meticulously curated. Expensive abstract paintings adorned the walls, a glass desk gleamed under the afternoon light, and my awards, small tokens of victories only I had witnessed, were arranged quietly on the shelves. I knew who it was before I even turned around. My father and Tyler, standing awkwardly in the doorway, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and condescension. "Dad," I said, my voice steady, almost casual. "Tyler, come in." They stepped in cautiously, like intruders in a world they thought they controlled. I watched them take in the office, the art, the books, the custom furniture. Their eyes flicked to the framed certificate of my company's first major industry award, then to the awards for campaigns I had led single-handedly. This is yours?" Tyler asked, disbelief edging his tone. His phone instinctively came up, as if to document proof. I smiled faintly. "Yes, it is." Dad's jaw tightened, his face pale. I didn't expect," he trailed off, searching for words. I leaned against the edge of my desk, folding my hands calmly. "You didn't expect a girl you underestimated to become her own person?" I asked gently, though each word carried the weight of years of frustration and silent effort. Tyler swallowed hard, his smirk gone, replaced by a mix of shame and awe. I didn't think. You didn't think I'd survive without you taking from me?" I finished for him, letting the words linger in the air like a tangible presence. "Or perhaps you didn't think I deserved to." I paused, letting them absorb the truth. They were staring at a woman who had been written off, dismissed, and told that her salary would only serve their benefit. A woman who had turned that pain into power, building a life, a company, a reputation they couldn't touch or diminish. "And before you ask," I continued, "I've never needed your approval. Every dollar I earned, every client I signed, every late night spent building this business, it was for me, not for you, not for Tyler, not for anyone." Dad's shoulders slumped, guilt finally breaking through his rigid facade. Tyler's hands fidgeted at his sides. They had expected a struggling 20-something who would sheepishly apologize for existing. Instead, they found a woman in control, confident and unshakable. I leaned back, letting the silence stretch. It was a long, quiet victory, the kind you feel deep in your bones. Then I added almost softly, "And now you know. This is the life I chose. I am no longer the girl whose income was dictated by your rules. I am Sophie Bennett, and I am not asking for permission to live my life." The room was still. Their reactions, disbelief, shame, awe, were exactly what I had imagined, but the satisfaction I felt wasn't in their shock. It was in knowing that I had proven to myself, more than anyone else, that my worth was mine to claim. I stood in my office, sunlight catching the edges of the glass desk, and looked at them, my father and brother, no longer as family who had dictated my life, but as people I could now guide, if they were willing. The power had shifted. The years of silent struggle, long nights, and relentless work had placed me firmly in control. "Here's the thing," I began, my voice calm but firm. "I'm willing to help, but only if things change. Only if we do this differently." Tyler shifted nervously, and my father straightened, as if bracing for a lecture. But I didn't yell or accuse. I didn't need to. My presence, my confidence, spoke louder than any words. "For Tyler," I continued, "I want you to find your own path. Stop relying on what you think you're owed. Pursue a career, develop skills, contribute something meaningful. I'm willing to invest in your education or mentorship, but only if you commit to growth. No more laziness. No more entitlement." Tyler's jaw tightened, his smirk gone, replaced by a flicker of seriousness. I understand," he muttered, though I could see the gears turning. "And Dad," I said, turning to face him, "you need to stop expecting control over my life. I've forgiven the past, but I will not hand over my earnings for the sake of guilt or tradition. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be based on respect, not rules or money. I will consider helping you financially, but only under clear terms that support your growth, not mine." I reached into my drawer and pulled out the small charm Nana June had given me years ago, a delicate silver compass. This was her advice. Always follow your own true north. I did, and it guided me to independence. I want you both to find your own north as well. Not mine, not your expectations, your own. I watched their faces. Tyler's eyes softened. He nodded slightly, finally realizing that respect and effort were the currency that mattered. Dad's pride wrestled with shame, but slowly, he lowered his gaze, understanding that control had been replaced by accountability. "Rules are simple," I said. "Work for your own life. Be accountable. Support others only when it's earned. And if you fail, learn. Don't blame me. That's how change happens." The room was quiet, but the air had shifted. The fear, the tension, the resentment, they were replaced with something tentative but real. Hope. For the first time, I felt that the past might not define the future. I could help without sacrificing my independence. I could care without compromising my dignity. For the first time, I saw them not as dictators of my life, but as people capable of change, if they chose to embrace it. And I would be there to guide, not control. End of section 5. Weeks passed after that confrontation, and slowly, subtly, change began to take root. Tyler enrolled in a management course and started taking part-time work seriously, no longer expecting a handout from me. He still had his moments of teenage-like hesitation, but for the first time, I saw genuine effort in his eyes. Dad, too, began to soften. He called me occasionally, not to command, but to seek advice, tentatively, awkwardly, and sometimes gratefully. We had long conversations about business, life, and responsibilities. He was learning humility the hard way, and I could forgive because I saw the person underneath the rigid exterior. I was no longer angry. I was simply aware that boundaries and respect were now in place, and that was enough. I sat again in my loft one evening, sipping a cup of chamomile tea, the city skyline glowing outside my window. My gaze fell on the small silver compass Nana June had given me years ago. It still glimmered in the soft lamplight, a reminder of the choice I had made, to walk my own path, to trust my instincts, to claim my life. Without her advice, I might have been trapped by guilt, obligation, or family expectation. With it, I became Sophie Bennett, strong, independent, and unafraid. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about freedom, dignity, and self-respect. I had endured hurt, rejection, and disbelief, Yet those experiences had shaped me into someone who could face the world with grace and power. I had learned that the most important approval is our own, and the most enduring legacy is the life we build with our own hands. I glanced at my phone. No urgent messages, just the quiet hum of my life in motion. I smiled, feeling a deep sense of closure. My family was changing, my boundaries were respected, and I had become the architect of my own destiny. And in that moment, I whispered, almost to myself, but also as a declaration to anyone listening. I am not the girl whose salary was ever dictated by anyone else. I am Sophie Bennett, and I am the author of my own life. It was a simple sentence, but it carried the weight of years, of struggle, of triumph. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, feeling the serenity that comes only from having walked through fire and emerged whole. I was free. I was strong. And nothing, no rule, no expectation, no person could take that away from me.